Woodshop, 3301 Salisbury Highway in Statesville. Lil Shavers Woodshop, LILshavers.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. Anything on your mind, anything you want to talk about, I'm here for you. Oh, let's call it the next, 54 minutes or so. We got a lot to talk about today. I know, you're probably sitting there thinking, Joe, what is there to talk about? Baseball seems to be the only thing going on right now. No, you're wrong. We have Olympics going on, and guess what? I told you about this earlier. I said it last week. I said it at the beginning of this week. It's training camp. One thing you need to keep an eye on during training camp is the most unfortunate thing that happens in the NFL season, and that is season-ending injuries in training camp. Unfortunately, 2 days in to every team being in camp, and we already have 2 reported season-ending injuries. 2. I couldn't imagine going through an entire offseason, an entire workout program in the offseason. You finally get to training camp, you put the pads on for the first time, and that's it. Your season's over. I can't imagine. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to start looking forward to the weekend. I know you're probably thinking there's no NASCAR. What's going on this weekend? Well, Friday is the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which means that this coming Saturday, pretty much every Olympic sport is going to be in action. Yesterday, we started things off with rugby and soccer. Today, we have some soccer going on. Rugby is going on. And a few other things as well. So we'll continue to let you know what's going on around the world of the Olympics. The opening ceremonies tomorrow. We're also going to look at the MLS. Something that's coming up this coming weekend is a Leagues Cup. Now, if you remember last year, I know it's a long, long time ago to think back to last year. The Charlotte FC, they were not having a good year. They were out of the playoffs. They looked terrible. Then they have a good run in Leagues Cup. And I mean, it was a pretty good run. They didn't win anything, but they made it to the quarterfinal round. Made it out of group play into the quarterfinal round where they ended up losing. But it turned their season around. And just a reminder for you, the MLS and Liga MX, that is the 2 leagues that participate in Leagues Cup. That's the U.S. Soccer League and the Mexican Soccer League. So we are going to see some new opponents for Charlotte FC. One of those opponents, actually, I already took a look at it. They're going to be playing Cruz Azul a little bit later this month. So not tomorrow, but Saturday, game number 1 of Leagues Cup for Charlotte FC as they will be taking on Philadelphia Union. Now, the Union have been in the news recently. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, they debuted a player who is the youngest player ever in North American major sports. 14 years old in just over 200 days. I don't know if we're going to see him in Leagues Cup, but man, 14 years old. I believe his name was, I forget his last name, but his first name was Cavan. And I forget his last name. I don't have it in front of me right now. But Philadelphia Union is going to be game number 1 of Leagues Cup for Charlotte FC. That game is going to be played at Subaru Park. And then the second game of Leagues Cup is going to be at home for Charlotte FC as they host Cruz Azul at Bank of America Stadium. So we do have things going on in the world of sports. I know baseball is over 100 games in now. Pretty much every team is down to their final 60 games or so. And we had a pretty big thing happen earlier today. The second no-hitter of the season and the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres history. Yes, for the second time ever, a Padre has thrown a no-hitter. Dylan Cease is the pitcher over there as the Padres beat the Nationals 3-0. Now, it was a no-hitter. It wasn't even close to a perfect game. There was an error. There were a few walks thrown in there, and just over 110 pitches. I believe the count that I saw was 114. It was a career high in pitches for him. He has completed 145 starts, and this was the most pitches he's ever thrown. Man, doesn't that tell you the change of the way things are done in baseball now? Guy is over 100 appearances into his MLB career, and his highest pitch count is today 114 pitches. And we saw a no-hitter by Paul Skeens of the Pirates earlier this year. He was getting up there in pitches. They took him out going into the eighth. The no-hitter was lost right away. But the point is, you just don't see these players putting up over 120 pitches, 130 pitches. The new way of baseball is throw it as hard as you can for as long as you can. And when you're throwing it as hard as you can, you need a little bit of a break every now and then. You need your manager to know how to restrict you in some way. Otherwise, these pitchers, man, they will throw until their arm falls off. We know that to be fact. So 114 pitches for Dylan Cease as he no-hits the Washington Nationals as the Padres get a 3-0 lead earlier today. Does this affect the standings at all? Nah, not really. Not really. In the grand scheme of things. The Nationals are 47-58. They're 17 and a half games back of the Phillies. So they really don't have a chance there. And the Padres, well, yeah, they're 7 games back of the Dodgers, but do we really expect the Dodgers to blow this division lead? I don't, and especially when you look at some of the reporting that's going on over what teams are going to be extremely active at the end of the trade deadline next week. The Dodgers are mentioned in almost every article that I'm seeing. So I don't expect the Dodgers to lose this division as they have that 7-game lead. But the Padres, you know, they have a chance to make the playoffs. And like I said, I just don't think it's going to be through the division lead. But right now, they're holding on to the final wild card spot. Half a game above the St. Louis Cardinals, a game above the Diamondbacks, and a game and a half above the Pirates. So maybe a little bit of a shot of momentum for those Padres as they look to make a playoff push. You know, getting the second no-hitter for the team that you play for, second ever. That's got to give a nice shot of adrenaline to the rest of the team. I know it would for me. So we'll see. The Padres, they're looking good here recently. They've won 5 games in a row now. I still don't think they're going to catch the Dodgers. I just think the Dodgers are too good. But they've put themselves into the wild card now. And now is the time where you really need to position yourself well. We got less than 60 games remaining in the season. We're going to head to our first commercial break of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot to cover here on the Scoreboard today. We'll be back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it's been a bit of a soggy day across the Lake Norman area. Rain tapering off and drying out as we go into this evening. We're mainly dry but damp, warm and muggy, low to mid-70s in the overnight hours. Going into our Friday, we'll start out dry, temperatures back in the low and mid-80s, and a rain chance gets lower for only an isolated shower or pop-up thunderstorm. Weekend looking to be in good shape, mainly dry Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid-80s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Listen, save, enjoy. The WSIC app, available now in your app store.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live continues their free music series on Thursday. 2 months ago, Ghostface Brewing and Waves Entertainment hosted the Battle of the Bands. The champion that night, Fortune 5, makes their Langtree Live debut this Thursday, July 25th. Come on out to Langtree Lake Norman to see and hear the Battle of the Bands champion, Fortune 5, this Thursday with music beginning at 7 p.m. The Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Come enjoy the music of the Highway with their dynamic and high-energy show. Red Rocks will have beverages on site, and the Birkdale restaurants are ready for your dinner service. Bring your chairs and blankets for the Highway concert at Birkdale Village on Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. The 8th annual Dog Island Jam takes place this Saturday on Lake Norman. Star from The Voice, John Sullivan presents the summer's must-see concert. Waves Entertainment will bring a stage, sound system, and LED walls to, you guessed it, an island on Lake Norman. Sully and Friends headline the concert on Saturday. Untie your boat or call your friends with boats and enjoy the Dog Island Jam concert on Lake Norman this Saturday. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway reaches the series finale. The 10-race series title night is on Tuesday, July 30th, with NASCAR night sponsored by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. See the champions crowned and the legends and bandoleros. Don't miss the next generation of racing superstars honing their skills and rising through the ranks. Gates open at 5 p.m. with the green flag waving at 6. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Thought-provoking conversations and informed perspectives.
It's meant for everyday people to understand, and you don't have to stress about technical terms and stuff. They just say it like a real person.
WSIC News Talk Now.
The number one station for people who say we're their favorite station.
WSIC.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, second segment here on the Scoreboard on this Thursday. Is that the sun that I'm seeing peeking into the studio? Man, who would have thought? I'll tell you what, I drive here from Statesville, and it was a mess this morning. I was like gripping the steering wheel for all it was worth. The visibility was down. Everybody's driving 30 miles an hour. We all got here safe, though. And hopefully, if you're heading home, now that it's past 5 o'clock, you're going to be safe as well on those roads, but make sure you keep tuned into WSIC. I'll get you home safe here. We're going to be rocking on the Scoreboard for about the next 40 minutes or so. So if you have anything on your mind that you want to talk about that's sports-related, even if it isn't sports-related, doesn't really matter, 844-STUDIO-4, that's 844-788-3464. We were talking a little baseball on the other side of the break. The Padres, we had a no-hitter. Not a perfect game, a no-hitter. Dylan Cease of the Padres throws a no-hitter against the Nationals. They also completed a 3-game sweep of the Nationals. Now, that's not really a surprise considering I just told you they're on a 5-game winning streak. But another team that completed a sweep recently are the New York Mets, as the Mets sweep the Yankees in the Subway Series. Now, I told you this a month ago. For some reason, when we get to the middle of June, the New York Yankees fall apart. And here we are, now late July, and the Yankees have not gotten it back together. They have fallen from the lead of the division, now 2 games back of the Baltimore Orioles. Yes, they are the number 1 wild card currently, but when you look at who's behind them, the Twins, not that far behind. The Royals, a nice surprise this year, but not that far behind. And then you have the Red Sox, a game out of the wild card. Another change for you in the standings, the Astros have officially overtaken the Seattle Mariners for the lead of the American League East. The Mariners are on a 2-8 stretch over their last 10 games. And, you know, the Astros don't really have to do anything too crazy. They've been playing 500 baseball as of late, but the Mariners have been shooting themselves in the foot. So they've now lost the division lead, and they're actually in danger of losing third place as well. The Texas Rangers are only a game and a half behind the Mariners, 2.5 games behind the Astros, as they are a very hot team, 5 wins in a row, 7-3 over their last 10 games. So there are some races starting to heat up here. Obviously, with 60 games to go, nothing final yet, but we'll continue to keep an eye on it throughout the rest of the summer, even though the MLB is starting to get overshadowed. Their time in the sun is coming to an end. We're getting into August. Guess what? We are 1 week away. 1 week away from the first preseason game of the NFL season. Do you believe me? We are currently on July 25th. It's a Thursday. Next Thursday is August 1st. What's happening on August 1st? Well, it'll be the Hall of Fame game between the Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears. This weekend, right now, like this coming weekend, and I guess next weekend as well, considering the game's on a Thursday, but man, we're almost done with no football. It's here, which is why I say baseball's time in the sun is coming to an end, because once the NFL gets started, they dominate headlines. I mean, let's take a look at the NFL headlines right now. We have 2 massive injuries already in training camp. Yesterday, it was Mekhi Becton of the Minnesota Vikings. A very, very unfortunate loss for the Vikings. Mekhi Becton, he is a corner. He's a pretty good corner at that. And his season has come to an end. Now, Becton, he was a 3rd-round pick back in 2023. He's only played 1 season. Last year was his rookie year. But he is a pretty good cornerback. And now his season's over. And I don't want to make light of any situations of anything that happened over the offseason, but we did talk about Kyrie Jackson and how he tragically lost his life due to a drunk driver on the road earlier this year. The hits keep coming for the Minnesota Vikings. That is a big loss, Mekhi Becton. Obviously, Kyrie Jackson, the rookie, very, very unfortunate situation there with him losing his life. He was a 4th-round pick this year and was going to be what I thought was a pretty big part of the defense there in Minnesota. And then earlier today, we got reports of another injury. This time, it was Rams cornerback, Darion Kendrick, who also tore his ACL during practice. He's going to undergo additional testing, but it's not looking good. He was a 6th-round pick in 2022, started 12 games last year, and now his season's over. The good news in all of this, in all of the negativity that I just shared with you, is right now, the Panthers are okay. We don't have any injuries for the Panthers. And I want to say happy birthday to a one Bryce Young. It is Bryce Young's birthday today. Did anybody know that? I didn't until, well, a little bit earlier this morning when we were going over famous birthdays on the home ad show. But Bryce Young, quarterback for the Panthers, it is his birthday today. Turns 24. So he's still young, obviously, still a young player. But hopefully he has a much better result this year than he did last year. Otherwise, man, these fans are not going to be happy in this area. I can tell you that right now. The Carolina Panthers' first preseason game is 2 weeks away. And that would be August 8th, 7 o'clock. They're going to be on the road up in New England taking on the Patriots. I am going to do my Panther preview a little bit later in the offseason here. Probably after the final preseason game. We'll do it in between the final preseason game and week one of those days. Last year, I was not even close. But also, I don't think anybody was close when it came to predicting how the Panthers were going to do last year during the season. Nobody saw them winning 2 games. I mean, they're in a weak division. I saw some analysts saying that the Panthers were going to win the division. Well, that didn't end up happening, unfortunately. So we got a lot going on in the world of the NFL. I want to talk a little NASCAR real quick. Why? Why? They're off for 2 weeks. Well, we had some news break earlier today. Corey LaJoie. Everybody remember Corey LaJoie living off that name? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It was a joke. It was a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Corey LaJoie, driver of the number 7 car, said Thursday he will not be returning to Spire Motorsports following the 2024 season. Here is the quote. I won't be driving the 7 car next year, as he told The Athletic. I take a lot of satisfaction from having an integral part in building Spire into a respectable team on the grid, but unfortunately the future won't involve me. We will finish the remainder of the 2024 season strong, continuing to deliver for my partners, my guys who work hard to build good cars, family, fans, and friends who have supported me since day one in the Cup Series. I'm not very surprised by this move. Corey LaJoie has not had a good season. He's really not had a very good career. Every now and then you'll hear about him. But Corey sits 28th in points right now. The only drivers behind him, Justin Haley, Daniel Hemrick, John Hunter Nemechek, Zane Smith, and Harrison Burton. That is of the drivers who have raced every race this year. By the way, Harrison Burton, man, he is the lowest points driver of anybody who has run all 22 races. It's not really a big surprise why he's not going to be driving the Wood Brothers car next year. It's going to be Josh Berry. I like Josh Berry. I also like Harrison Burton, but man, they have had a very bad year. Hang tight with us, everyone. We are going to our next commercial. We're at the halfway point here today. When we come back, we'll talk a little Olympics because we had some games going on today, and I'll let you know kind of the schedule of the Olympics moving forward. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Scoreboard. We'll be back right after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it's been a bit of a soggy day across the Lake Norman area. Rain tapering off and drying out as we go into this evening. We're mainly dry but damp, warm and muggy, low to mid-70s in the overnight hours. Going into our Friday, we'll start out dry, temperatures back in the low and mid-80s, and our rain chance gets lower for only an isolated shower or pop-up thunderstorm. Weekend looking to be in good shape, mainly dry Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid-80s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. G-O-L-D, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
More than a century ago, Bunch Johnson Funeral Home was founded on compassion. Let us assist you with pre-planning for funerals and cremations. Our family is here when you need us. Bunch Johnson Funeral Home.
Whatever the story,
we have to end our dependence on China.
Have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
This is Fred Lowry at Lowry Drug. We now have our own brand of full-spectrum hemp extract, also known as CBD oil. I personally manage this product as it was grown on my farm here in Iredell County. It was then processed and bottled here in Statesville. This is a true herbal extract with all the medicinal components intact. A product you can trust to be authentic. And since there is no wholesaler, it's at a price you can afford. Try it at Lowry Drug on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Those sports fans want rookies on their favorite team to make an instant impact. The reality is that most players take time to develop. As followers of Jesus, we desire to have a godly impact on others instantly. But realistically, it doesn't always turn out that way. Sometimes our impact on a person's faith journey isn't revealed until years later. So we must have an urgent patience. This means we don't hesitate to share, but patiently wait until it all clicks for them. We also must be patient for people to produce fruit, as it takes time to become spiritually mature. In the Bible, Jesus says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Today, let's be challenged to make an impact on others by the way we live. Let's share the gospel and trust God to transform lives. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Lululemon is far from zen today. It's pausing sales of its new breeze-through yoga wear to, quote, make adjustments necessary to deliver the best possible product experience. That has analysts concerned about the company's ability to hit financial targets. The stock has already plunged 50% this year. Shares today down another 9%. The company may tout its vehicles as being built Ford tough, but apparently Ford is not building them tough enough. The automaker missed on earnings, saying it's because it's seen a surge in warranty repair costs for older vehicles made before 2021. Shares were down more than 18%. Harley-Davidson's shift to promote pricier motorcycles appears to be paying off. The company's second quarter revenue exceeded analyst estimates. After yesterday's sell-off, stocks today were mixed. The Dow was up 81, 0.2%. The S&P was down 28, or 0.5%. The Nasdaq lost 161, close to 1%. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, you know when I sit down, if you're watching, on the WSIC streams. Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, our website, or even on the WSIC News app. You can see that I have taken a seat. You know that means we're going to be talking about something serious. Sorry. We've talked about the NCAA and all the problems that they've had recently with NIL, with their lawsuit between the NCAA and the House. Dabo Swinney had some words about the fact that we're probably going to say goodbye to the walk-on athlete soon, which is a major loss. You got to remember, there are plenty of good players in the NFL who were walk-ons. I mean, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL, and that kid was a walk-on. Well, as part of the settlement in the House versus NCAA, schools can no longer be limited in the number of scholarships they offer, though roster sizes can still be capped. The result will be that many walk-ons will be forced from participating on their current teams, which has caused an uproar among coaches. Here's what Swinney had to say. This is the most united coaches have been in the history of football. That's a great quote right there. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, wants to see the walk-on athlete gone. But it's just kind of the way that things are now. Now, Swinney was a walk-on at Alabama. 2 years on the scout team, and then he got himself a scholarship. And then eventually a graduate assistant, a receivers coach, and now he's a 2-time national champion with Clemson. He says, that doesn't happen if Stallings hadn't seen me. I can't even imagine how different things would be. North Carolina head coach Mac Brown said the son of a passing coordinator, Lonnie Galloway, and several former Tar Heel players are all among the walk-ons in Chapel Hill. And if the situation isn't addressed, they'll have to cut all of them loose. I'll have to tell them in January they can't play football anymore. That's the hardest thing for kids. The money's crazy, but we'll deal with all of that. But telling a kid that's been on your team and done everything right that you can't play football anymore, it's a mess. This is an actual mess. And I don't understand why we're going down this route. Now, maybe I just don't have all the information as to the reasoning that we're not going to have walk-ons. But as far as I see it, if you have a walk-on now and you cannot cap the number of scholarships, can't you just offer them a scholarship? I just don't understand how that works, personally. Maybe somebody out there is a little bit smarter than I am. They'd be able to help me out with that one. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. Like I said, there have been plenty of big-time walk-ons. I mean, Baker Mayfield might be the biggest. Just going through some players who were walk-ons in college. J.J. Watt, Clay Matthews, Antonio Brown, Ezekiel Ansah. Obviously, we talked about Baker Mayfield. Stephen Gostkowski, everybody's favorite cornerback here in the Carolinas. Josh Norman was a walk-on. We need to somehow keep walk-ons, because scouts aren't perfect. Every now and then you miss a player. Why do you think that the number 1 overall pick isn't always a Hall of Famer? Because scouts miss. They're just wrong sometimes. And also, human nature of, it's just kind of luck of the draw sometimes. I don't know if this is final. I don't know if this is something that can be changed, but I really hope we don't get to a spot where the walk-on is non-existent. That'd be really unfortunate. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. 34-64. We had some Olympic games earlier today. Handball was in action. Archery was in action. Rugby. Soccer. U.S. men's rugby beat Uruguay earlier today, 33-17. The women's soccer team beat Zambia 3-0 earlier today. And yesterday, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or not, Team USA, the men's national team, lost 3-0 to France in their first game. You don't hear a big uproar over it because it's really not the full Team USA squad. The women's, that's a full Team USA. That is Team USA right there. But the men, it's a little different. They're younger. The top guys aren't there. It's not FIFA sanctioned, so clubs are not required to release their players. So everything's a little bit different. But for the women's side of things, a big win in their first game against Zambia. Now, I told you opening ceremonies are coming up on Friday. Early morning, I'm talking 3 a.m. There are some events that are going on. Then at 2 o'clock will be the opening ceremonies. After that, the day is over in the Olympics. Saturday is when everything really starts to kick up a notch. And Saturday, we will actually be handing out our first medals. The first medal that'll be handed out is the 10 meter air rifle mixed teams. At 4:30, it'll be the bronze medal match, and then immediately following that, it'll be the gold medal match. So shooting is going to be the first ones to hand out a medal in the 2024 Olympics. There's one other medal ceremony, it seems, in diving on Saturday. Other than that, also cycling. Road cycling is going to be handing out a medal. So the Olympics are fast and furious right now. Tomorrow is pretty much the most dead day that we're going to have. And then after that, it's full speed ahead, giving out medals, competition. Team USA basketball is going to be in action. Like I've said, I am nervous about Team USA basketball. I don't know why. They have a team that very well should dominate, but I'm still nervous. Maybe it's because we almost lost to South Sudan. Maybe it's because we didn't play as well as we should have against Canada. Same with Germany. But also, you got to remember, those aren't like official games. Those were friendlies that weren't part of the Olympic schedule. So maybe Team USA just holding back a little bit. I don't know. They are old. It is a veteran-heavy team that Team USA is rolling out there this year. So maybe they were conserving some energy. But opening ceremonies tomorrow at 2 o'clock for the Olympics, and then Saturday. Saturday's the day where everything is getting underway. So stay tuned to the Scoreboard next week as we bring you updated medal counts, any stories that we have. We don't have a disaster today like we did in the first day between Argentina and Morocco in the soccer game. So things going a little smoother here on day 2. We're going to head to our final commercial break of the day. When we get back, we'll talk about a few more things that are in the news, and then we'll get on to this day in sports history. Don't go anywhere. One more segment, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Scoreboard, and we'll be back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, it's been a bit of a soggy day across the Lake Norman area. Rain tapering off and drying out as we go into this evening. We're mainly dry but damp, warm and muggy, low to mid-70s in the overnight hours. Going into our Friday, we'll start out dry, temperatures back in the low and mid-80s, and our rain chance gets lower for only an isolated shower or pop-up thunderstorm. Weekend looking to be in good shape, mainly dry Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid-80s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live continues their free music series on Thursday. 2 months ago, Ghostface Brewing and Waves Entertainment hosted the Battle of the Bands. The champion that night, Fortune 5, makes their Langtree Live debut this Thursday, July 25th. Come on out to Langtree Lake Norman to see and hear the Battle of the Bands champion, Fortune 5, this Thursday with music beginning at 7 p.m. The Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Come enjoy the music of the Highway with their dynamic and high-energy show. Red Rocks will have beverages on site, and the Birkdale restaurants are ready for your dinner service. Bring your chairs and blankets for the Highway concert at Birkdale Village on Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. The 8th annual Dog Island Jam takes place this Saturday on Lake Norman. Star from The Voice, John Sullivan presents the summer's must-see concert. Waves Entertainment will bring a stage, sound system, and LED walls to, you guessed it, an island on Lake Norman. Sully and Friends headline the concert on Saturday. Untie your boat or call your friends with boats and enjoy the Dog Island Jam concert on Lake Norman this Saturday. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway reaches the series finale. The 10-race series title night is on Tuesday, July 30th, with NASCAR night sponsored by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. See the champions crowned and the legends and bandoleros. Don't miss the next generation of racing superstars honing their skills and rising through the ranks. Gates open at 5 p.m. with the green flag waving at 6. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Folks, here at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, we have got the brand new 2025 Chevrolet Traverse in stock, all redesigned from front to back, top to bottom, inside and out. Come see them today. We have got a great selection of these new Traverses ready for you to take home. And also, we got great discounts on our Silverado trucks. We got the regular cab, crew cab, double cabs, discounted up to $9,000 off. Great selection, Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, right on I-40.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Final segment. Last segment, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some fun. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. Hopefully everybody making their way home from work, being safe out there on the roads. The sun is shining, kind of. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I just looked out the window right into the sun. Didn't know it was going to be right there. But it looks like the sun is trying to peek through those clouds. So if you're going out to Langtree Live tonight, hopefully it stays dry for you. Earlier, we talked a little NFL, some injuries, some season-ending injuries that have already occurred. Really an unfortunate thing. And I told you the Panthers are safe. They still are safe, so I know I brought the Panthers up when talking about injuries, so don't worry. They're still safe. No massive injuries to report just yet. We actually do have some roster news. After a workout, the Panthers have signed wide receiver Devin Tompkins to a contract, the former undrafted rookie from Utah State. He spent the last 2 years with the Buccaneers, where he was with Dave Canales, the current head coach. And now he's with the Panthers. The Panthers also have a few workouts coming up. A few names for you that maybe you recognized. Marquise Haynes and Kemiko Toure worked out earlier today. Tomorrow, Carl Lawson and Yannick Ngakoue are going to be working out. Ngakoue has made a name for himself every now and then. He had a big role in that Rams-Chiefs game. Do you guys remember that? Oh, man, what was that, like 2019 or so? Where that game ended like 55-52 or something like that. One of the greatest games I've ever seen. Ngakoue had a pretty big role on the defensive line in that game. Now, he's not the player he once was, obviously, but the Panthers bringing him in for a workout. So we'll see what happens. But Devin Tompkins, officially a member of the Carolina Panthers. Before we go into this day in sports history, I want to give you a little bit of a standings update in Major League Soccer. We haven't really talked about it all that much here recently. Yes, games have been slow and very few and far between recently, but we're not taking an MLS break. The MLS season is going to continue even during the Olympics, so we'll be talking a lot of Charlotte FC here in the near future. Right now, here is how the Eastern Conference shakes down. 53 points for your conference leaders, Miami, Cincinnati, Columbus, and the New York Red Bulls round out the top four. NYCFC, Charlotte FC, and Orlando, 5th through 7th. And then you have Toronto and Atlanta, the final couple of teams in the playoffs. Charlotte FC, 37 points on the year. They're 1 point behind NYCFC. And currently, 10 wins, 8 losses, 7 ties. Pretty even keel year, if you ask me. They're still having a problem on the road, only 4-6-3 on the road, as opposed to 6-2-4 here at Bank of America Stadium. But now we get to go to Leagues Cup, and guess who's going to be back? Karol Swiderski. Yeah, after being out on loan, Karol Swiderski is going to be back for Charlotte FC. Now, whether or not he is in the lineup, in the starting lineup, it's yet to be seen, but Karol Swiderski is back for Charlotte FC. He started the last game, and he scored a goal. He buried a penalty kick during the 2-2 draw against Austin FC on Saturday. So, hey, one of our better goal scorers from last year, back on the squad. We're going into Leagues Cup where things turned around for us last year. You never know. Maybe Charlotte FC gets hot. Maybe Swiderski is the guy they needed this year. I don't know if they're going to all of a sudden become the best team in the MLS, but they're in a very good spot right now to make the playoffs. They have a nice bumper to the first team out. Now, the first team out of the playoffs is Philadelphia. The Union only have 27 points, 10 points ahead. So at least that's a 4-game lead. Because you get 3 points per win, 1 for a draw, 3, and 1 is 10. That ties you with Philly. So we'll keep an eye on Charlotte FC this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday. We got to preview the weekend. No NASCAR this weekend. I know, it's upsetting. It upsets me. We did talk about the NASCAR news earlier today from Spire Motorsports. Corey LaJoie will not be back in the number 7 car next year. We don't know where he'll be. We don't even know who'll be in the 7 car next year. We do know that Michael McDowell is going to be moving over to Spire Motorsports next year. He'll be piloting the number 71 car, but as far as a replacement for LaJoie, we haven't heard anything. So it'll be part of the silly season. Maybe Harrison Burton will land himself a ride back in the Cup Series. After the year he's had, though, I highly doubt it. We've covered pretty much all the news from the day. The biggest news being Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter for the San Diego Padres. It is only the second no-hitter of the season and the second no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres. So congratulations to all you Padres fans out there celebrating a no-hitter. Now, it wasn't close to a perfect game. There were 3 walks and an error. So, unfortunate, but a no-hitter is a no-hitter. I don't care how many walks there are. They didn't get a hit. Took him a career-high 114 pitches to get it done. Paul Skeens, last time he was out, did not have a no-hitter going. He had like a 2-hitter going into the 8th inning and ended up with the loss in that one. But there was a game a few weeks ago where he was bringing a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and the Pirates decided to take him out. Now, I don't mind the decision. It's a random game in the middle of July. But it just goes to show, and we've known this for years now, that pitchers are not cared for the same way they once were. It's a lot more of, hey, no, you're done. You've thrown this many pitches. You are done. I guess that wasn't the case for Dylan Cease. Let's move on to this day in sports history. I got a few for you here. First of all, on this day, 1956, Pittsburgh Pirates' Roberto Clemente hits the MLB's first and only walk-off inside the park grand slam. The Pirates went into the inning down 8-5, and they come out with a win 9-8. Pirates beat the Cubs that day at Forbes Field. Also on this day in MLB, this day in sports history, Roger Maris hit 4 home runs in a doubleheader against the Chicago White Sox at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees went on to sweep that doubleheader. They were home runs number 37, 38, 39, and 40 on the year for him. And even more interesting, he hit those 4 home runs off of 4 completely different pitchers for the White Sox. So an interesting little stat there. On this day in 1978, Pete Rose set the National League record, hitting in 38 consecutive games, which is definitely the closest anybody's ever come to 56 since that record was set. 1990, George Brett hit for the cycle. Oh, here's one for you. On this day in 1990, man, on the All-Star game this year, the Home Run Derby, we had a pretty bad rendition of the national anthem. Ingrid Andress, I believe was her name. Pretty terrible. Well, I don't know if that beats the 1990 Roseanne Barr national anthem, which was on this day in a Cincinnati Reds San Diego Padres baseball game. Roseanne Barr with one of the worst national anthems ever. It was a bad one. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around and listening to the Scoreboard here on this Thursday. We got one more day this week. And what we'll do is we'll talk more sports. Same time, same place tomorrow. I'll catch you guys there. Until then, have a good night, everyone.